Female orgasms as a bonus feature. I originally wrote this during an argument with a dude on Reddit who took the position that female orgasms are superfluous, and so women shouldn't expect to have them each time they have intercourse. To my utter shock and delight, that specific dude actually had an open enough mind that he changed his stance based on this argument. So kudos to him, that's rare, especially online. I've since reposted it a few times in response to other comments because I keep seeing people argue that female orgasms are an evolution fluke and don't really serve a function, including women taking that stance at times. When I do see people arguing that female orgasms serve a biological function, it's always to point out there is a theory that the muscle contractions aid the sperm, which again makes women's orgasms exist to serve men, and not to create pleasure for women in their own right. The pleasure women feel from orgasm then becomes the bonus feature, rather than the orgasm itself. If you have ever felt that way, I hope you can keep as open a mind as the dude I originally wrote this for. The mindset that says that male orgasms are the only factor in procreation and female orgasms are superfluous argues that females' receptiveness and desire for sex doesn't impact procreation. And if a woman's lack of desire to have sex doesn't impact procreation, then we're down to procreation through rape at worst, or guilt coercion at best being an acceptable standard, which could be argued to be natural. There are species, like ducks for instance, where rape is a regularly observed reproductive strategy, which gets us to the philosophical question. Given that we're conscious animals, what mode of natural procreation patterns do we want to be normative to humans? But that's a social question. Let's think strictly about the biology for a second. I think most experienced humans agree that sex with a receptive female far beats sex with an unreceptive one, in which case the natural function the female orgasm serves to aid in procreation is precisely to make her be receptive to engaging in procreative activities. Thus one obvious biological function female pleasure serves during copulation is to make her desire to have sex again. Shocking concept, I know. Unfortunately, not everyone feels that way. And there is a not insubstantial amount of men out there who think that instead we should be taking notes from species like ducks, which is sad, because making female orgasms a necessary component of human procreation, as a receptiveness enhancer, instead of an optional bonus feature, makes humans better. Sex isn't just a biological function that starts conception. It's also a mood enhancer, and it generates chemicals responsible for pair bonding. People, even the best people, are pretty damn annoying to live with, and a lot of those minor friction points are smoothed over by regular mutually satisfying intercourse, which makes sense considering the flood of bonding and feel-good hormones orgasm produces. If you get a woman off a lot, she actually likes you more, wants to be around you more, is more generous, loving, and patient towards you. Again, shocking concept, I know, which given that successful natural human procreation doesn't just depend on starting a pregnancy, but also, and perhaps even especially, on the couple successfully tolerating and ideally liking each other long enough to get the offspring to the point of independence, makes female orgasms again a needed, instead of an optional component in human procreation. Their function is to make her like the father, the offspring, and her life enough so she doesn't become so crabby that either of them runs off prior to the offspring being old enough to survive without two parents to assist it. Those dynamics are obviously changed due to modern civilization, given that infant mortality is currently exceptionally low, given the support networks we've built. But if we're arguing from a biological essentialist view of the natural function orgasms play in procreation, what would you guess the success rate was in raising offspring 10,000 years ago of a male who takes a duck's approach to procreation versus one of a male who sticks around a female who is virtually always receptive to sex, because he's getting her off all the time? From that point of view, one might speculate that female orgasms evolved in order to make human females receptive to sex outside of their period of ovulation, so that by her perpetual receptiveness to sex she tricks the male to stick around and provide for the generated offspring. Because we were both biological as well as social creatures, procreation functions are far more complex in humans than this orgasm is what causes conception, and is therefore essentially, while this orgasm doesn't cause conception, and is therefore a superfluous and accidental bonus feature. Evolution simply isn't that, well, simplistic. To determine the evolutionary impact female orgasm has on procreation, you'd have to study how successful couples where the female regularly gets off are in raising offspring to sexual maturity, versus those where the female doesn't get off. Not just in how successful male orgasms are in starting pregnancies,